DayZ is a brutal game. It's not just about surviving in a disease-ridden apocalypse, but also surviving yourself and the issues you bring. And here I'm going to break it all down in 7 reasons so you can avoid finding your 13th. If you liked the video, please leave a like or a subscribe. It really helps me out. But without further ado, let's get into the video.
No one's gonna believe that.
Let's start with one of the biggest misconceptions in DayZ, thinking guns are your best friend. It's understandable in most games you grab a gun and you're immediately set for combat, but in DayZ, guns can actually be more of a liability than an asset, specifically early on. The loud crack of a gunshot will attract infected and, more dangerously, alert other players to your position. And if there's one thing you learn quickly in DayZ, it's that other players hate you and your stupid little face. I'm sorry, baby, you know I love you. But it doesn't just alert players to your presence, that's just one part of it. It also makes players not trust you immediately. It's easy to take a chance on a guy with nothing but a crowbar and some courage, but if that person has a gun, suddenly that trust level drops. So what should you do instead? Just opt for more suitable options like melee weapons. A simple axe or a shovel can dispatch the infected quietly, and a fire axe can do it in a single hit, letting you go unnoticed. I'm not saying don't pick up a gun, I'm just saying don't use it until you absolutely have to. Next is a simple one no one ever seems to address. So much so, many beginner guides don't even cover it, and some one-track minded veterans still mess it up. Your character's wardrobe is more important than you may think, maybe not for the reasons you think it. Running around in tattered, damaged clothing is a recipe for disaster. DayZ's dynamic weather system is unforgiving, and poor clothing choices can lead to serious illnesses. Cold and rain can leave you shivering, and eventually hypothermia sets in. Ruined clothes can offer no shock protection, no insulation, and so on. The simple fact is, you need to fix your clothing as soon as they get damaged, and that means using sewing kits and leather kits to patch up any holes. Prioritize clothing that's warm, waterproof, and has plenty of inventory space, which is now a rarer commodity. I can't tell you the amount of deaths caused by poor clothing management, even indirectly. People think it's just bad because it gives you no insulation. There are so many more downfalls to it. Another major issue is a complete disregard for stealth. Whether it's running across open fields, bolting through towns, or engaging with infected head on, these habits will get you killed fast. The world of DayZ is vast, and its population of hostile players and the undead make being careless a death sentence. They're infected, not dead. Technically they are still undead because they're not dead, although undead means that they're dead, but I have risen again. My head hurts. Instead of sprinting through towns, take it slow. Crouch sometimes, move quietly, spot corners, and use cover to your advantage. Hug walls, sneak through buildings, and stay low in bushes when traveling through open areas. This isn't a deathmatch. If you're running and making noise, you're painting a target on your back. The smartest DayZ players know that staying hidden and avoiding unnecessary attention is the best way to stay alive. Remember, it's the journey, not the destination. Moving on, this is where, wow, that is a very loud plane going by. I don't think that could have been louder if I was on it. Let's try it again. DayZ isn't a PvP game. It's a survival one, and one of those survival elements just happens to be PvP, and that means you need to know how and when to use it. Ignoring basic survival skills like crafting tools, making fires, and hunting for food to prioritize gun hunting will make your life in DayZ significantly harder. I've done it myself, ignored survival entirely and relied on killing other players and just surviving on things they had. But honestly, there's just no competition between this and actually knowing how to utilize DayZ's survival systems. Make it a priority to become self-sufficient, but that doesn't mean you can't use PvP as a way to build your gear too. But this has to be supplementary, or you're gonna struggle more than you need to. Next, in DayZ, inventory management is by far the most neglected thing, and it's a huge killer of many people without them even knowing why they keep dying. If your inventory is a disorganized mess, you're probably struggling when it comes to quick decision making in tense situations. The key to success is managing your inventory like a pro. Think strategically about what you're carrying. Do you really need to carry 6 tins of beans, or is there something else you could utilize the space for? Carrying too much unnecessary gear will slow you down and make it harder to find what you need when time is of the essence. Keep your inventory clean, organized, and prioritize essentials. There's a very specific way you can organize and control your inventory that will give you a huge advantage over your competition. And if you want to know the secret to doing this, click here, where I'll explain everything you could ever want to know. Or for something else, click here. And as always, until next time.